Hey everyone. So we're going to be looking at the 1.1 Part 2 worksheet today, dealing with segment bisectors and then the midpoint formula. And then after that, a little bit of just the segment addition postulate on the backside. All right. So yeah, I'm going to do a few of these, try them out with me, maybe after, give some a try on your own, and then we'll go back and forth. Alrighty. So the first one I'm going to look at is number 2. All right. These problems are giving us segments, and just a reminder, these markings on these segments are telling us that it's being bisected. All right, and the word bisect means it's being cut into two congruent parts. All right, and then the word congruent means they're equal. Okay, so all that to say, I can set this segment equal to this segment, and that's my equation. Okay, so I can say 5x plus 7 is equal to 3x plus 23. Okay, and then from here, we're just solving for x. First thing I notice, we cannot combine any like terms on the left or right. Okay, so from there, I'm moving on and I'm looking and noticing I have variables on both sides. All right, I need to get them to the same side. All right, I can do the opposite operation to either one of these. You just need to choose whichever you think it looks easiest. I think it's going to be easiest to get rid of the 3x by subtracting that from both sides. Okay, so on the left here, it looks like I got a 2x. Bringing down the 7 on the right, looks like I have 23. All right, and then from here, I just have my two-step equation. All right, just remember, deal with addition or subtraction first. So get rid of that 7 by subtracting. We're getting 2x equals 16. And then last thing, we can get rid of the 2 that's being multiplied by dividing both sides. Looks like x is going to equal 8. Okay, and on these first 4 problems, that's all we're looking for is to solve for x. Okay, so maybe pause the video, try out the other 3 problems, and then we'll move on to some midpoint formula. All right, so yeah, moving on from 5, I guess, down on the front side. These are just midpoint problems. The first 5 and 6 are giving us the coordinates, which is nice. We can just plug them in, and then from there we start our given graphs. All right, but yeah, if you guys remember, the first thing I recommend on these problems after we get our coordinates is to label them. All right, remember, this is your x and this is your y value when it comes to a coordinate. Okay, so when it comes to labeling, this is going to be my first x, and this is going to be my first y. Okay, and then over here, this is my second x and my second y. All right, and from here, now we can plug it into the midpoint formula. I think it's worth writing out the midpoint formula, at least once. So yeah, copy this with me. Really simple formula. Basically, what we're doing is we're adding our x values and then dividing by 2, and then comma, we're combining our y values and dividing by 2. Okay, and notice the form of this. It is giving us a coordinate, right? It's giving us the coordinate of the midpoint. So this is going to give us, an x value, and this is going to give us a y value when we do that math. All right, so let's go ahead and plug in our values. Okay, so x1 is a 2 plus x2, 9, divided by 2. And then y1 is a 4 plus y2, 0, divided by 2. All right, cool. And then from here, depending on how comfortable you are, you could do both steps at once. You could combine the numbers on the top and then divide by 2. I think that's what I'll do on this problem. Okay, so I'm getting a 9 plus 2, which is 11. And then we got 11 divided by 2, and that's giving me a 5.5. Okay, over here, 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 divided by 2, 2. And there it is. And this is the coordinates for the midpoint of my segment with these endpoints. Okay, let's do one more together, and then I'll have you guys try some of these out on your own. All right, so jump down to number 9. Okay, on these problems, they're not giving us the coordinates of the endpoints. That's the first thing we need to figure out. All right, it wouldn't matter which one I start with. I'm going to start with this one right here. All right, remember, when you find coordinates, you start in the center of your graph called the origin, and first you move on your x-axis, And then on your y-axis, it might be worth putting this on at least one graph. Remember, on the x-axis, when you're going right, that's in the positive direction. When you're going left, that's in the negative direction. Put that plus and minus if that helps you. Okay, same thing with the y-axis. When you're going up, that's in the positive direction. When you're going down, that's in the negative direction. Okay, so moving back to finding this coordinate starting in the center, it looks like we're going to -4 on the x-axis. Okay, where are we going on the y-axis? Nowhere, right? We don't need to go up or down, so we're going 0 on the y. So that coordinate is at -4, 0. Okay, moving on to this point right here. All right, back to the middle of my graph. Okay, first question, where am I going on the x-axis, left or right, to line up with it? Nowhere, right? So I'm going 0 on my x and then down to -1 on my y. So 0, -1. Okay, which is, by the way, the reason why I picked this problem, because it has those zeros that I think sometimes trips people up. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite these coordinates, -4, 0, and 0, -1. All right, let's label them really quick. Remember, it's always x comma y. So first x, first y, second x, second y. Okay, and now we can plug that into our midpoint formula. I don't think we need to write out the formula again, but just a quick reminder, x1 plus x2 over 2. Okay, so x1 is a -4 plus x2, 0 over 2. And then same thing with my y's, y1 plus y2 over 2. Y1 is a 0 plus y2, -1 over 2. All right. And again, I'm going to do both of these steps at once just because I feel like, we're getting better at these. -4 plus 0 is -4. -4 divided by 2 gives me -2. Okay, please use your calculator when in doubt. 0 plus -1. Remember, we kind of ignore the plus when it's next to the negative. This is 0 minus 1, which is -1. -1 divided by 2 gives us -0.5. Okay, and there it is. All right, here's something I always recommend. Is this actually the coordinate of the midpoint of this segment? Okay, let's plot the point and see if it falls in the middle of it. -2 on the x, and then down to -0.5 on the y. That would be halfway down. Yeah, it's falling right on. So, you can check your answers on these, which is nice. Okay, so go ahead. I would pause the video, try out some of those midpoint problems. Call me over if you have any questions, and then we'll move on to the backside. Okay, so the backside just gets into the segment addition postulate. This is from the last lesson. I felt like it was worth still trying out and working on these because I want to make sure everyone's algebra skills are strong. And there was also a little extra something. If you guys notice, each one of these problems has a segment they want us to find. Okay, so after we set up our equation and we solve, we're going to plug it back in and we're going to find the length of whatever segment they want us to find. Okay, but first thing is finding x. Okay, so let's set up our equation. If you guys remember, really straightforward idea. We know that this segment plus this segment equals this segment. Okay, and that's going to be our equation. So let's start by adding these together. So we have a 2x plus 14 plus 9. And we know those added together equals the whole thing, which is x plus 18. All right. So from here, just a little bit of simplifying I can do. On the left, I notice we have these like terms, 14 and 9. So we can combine those together and get a 23. Okay, the 2x, just bring it down. On the right, no like terms, just bringing them down. All right, and then this math is just like, the very first problem we did. We have variables on both sides. We want to get them to the same side. I think it makes most sense to subtract x from both sides. That's going to give me a positive number, right? 2x minus x gives me 1x. Okay, remember, we don't need to write the 1 if we don't want to. Okay, bring down the 23. Over on the right, those are gone. 18. Okay, and then last thing, just got a one step, getting rid of the 23, subtracting it. All right, I just want to encourage you, if you can't do this in your head, which I don't expect you to, type it in a calculator. Be sure. This is going to give me a -5. Okay. I almost started to put a little box around that because I am, used to just solving for x and being done. This problem doesn't just want us to solve for x, and now wants us to find DF, segment DF. Okay, so let me just erase all this mess. Okay, DF, if you guys notice, is this entire segment. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to plug this back in for x. Okay, so that's the math we're going to do. So when I do that, you can probably just do it in a calculator. I'm plugging in -5 for x plus 18. Okay, so doing that math, looks like we're going to get 13. Okay, and let's make it official. Let's write it out and let's say, all right, df equals 13. That is our answer. Okay, so don't forget to do that last step after you get x, plug it back into whichever segment they're asking you to find. Okay, it won't always be the entire thing. Sometimes it'll be just one of the small ones. Okay, so just double check. Okay, cool. So if you have any trouble on solving or setting up these equations or anything else, let me know. Bye.